What's up, YouTube? Back at you with another video, another quick take. I got my main man, my partner, my brother here.
Keep my name out your mouth. I'm just kidding. Thank you for having me again, bro.
My man. For those of you who don't know or haven't seen, I did a reaction to Jada Pinkett Smith's interview, where she talked about the fact that she has been separated from Will Smith, or they've been separated from each other since 2016. You guys check it out. But since then, it just seems that things are popping up left and right in the news. And it seems like Jada Pinkett Smith is promoting her book. So on her press run, she's basically explaining things that can be found in her book. And there's three different articles, and I'm going to break down each of them. So we have one courtesy of CNN, which says Jada Pinkett Smith says Tupac Shakur was her soulmate. The article goes on to say that after revealing that she and husband Will Smith, who's the GOAT, have been living completely separate lives since 2016, which is 7 years ago, Pinkett Smith talked to Rolling Out about her friendship with the late rapper Tupac Shakur. Pinkett Smith was asked about Shakur, who died after being gunned down in 1996, being her soulmate. She agreed and discussed their strong connection. She says, if there is such a thing as past lives, I definitely think that Pac and I have traveled a few together, she said of Shakur, whom she became friends with as a teen when they were both living in Baltimore, Maryland. As for any type of romantic connection, she said that wasn't possible because there was no chemistry between us. When the interviewer insisted that their chemistry was apparent to others, Pinkett Smith pushed back. It's that friendship, love, chemistry, she said. It was almost like God made us that way, Pinkett Smith continued. It was like, look, I'm going to put y'all together, right? Y'all are going to be a dynamic duo, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to make it so y'all are not going to be able to get together because that just wasn't the purpose. Pinkett Smith has been doing press for her forthcoming memoir, Worth, releasing October 17th. She writes about her relationship with Shakur in the book. Now, I want us to talk about this, particular article first. And we're going to, like I said earlier, break down each of them. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to do it organized. Now, I'm going to let you go first, but I'm just going to preface this whole discussion by saying I am a proud Will Smith fanboy. I am a proud Will Smith superfan, and there will be no Will Smith slander tolerated, period. Not in the comment section, not in person, not over the phone, not anywhere, not on my watch. And you reached out to me, through text, and you were sending me these articles, and this is exactly why I even felt the need to want to do a quick take breaking down all of this shit. So I want you to give me your pure unadulterated thoughts on this shit, because I think it's going to be a good contrast between how you truly feel about the situation in comparison to me being a Will Smith superfan who has read Will Smith's book. So what are your thoughts, bro?
First things first, I'm gonna make a little. We had the Taylor Swifties. You like the Will Smith, yeah, Will Smithy. Uh, look, I'm not one to talk about other people's relationships. I try to stay far away from stuff like this now as possible, mostly because I'm not married, don't know what that's been like. But Jada Pinkett Smith, of course, gets his ammo. So when I reached out to you, the first thing I said was, I am not shocked. It's been well known and documented how much Jada Pinkett Smith admired, loved, adored, cherished Tupac.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that statement that she said, "Oh, God," was said that, yeah, you're gonna have this long lasting friendship, partnership, whatever, but y'all won't be together. No, no, I don't buy that. It's like that dude who hangs around with the girl who wants the dude that hangs out with the girl who wants that relationship with the girl, but she doesn't have that same feeling back. I think that's exactly what happened. I think Tupac saw Jada as like a friend, a sister, and she probably saw more than that, and it
Mm-hmm.
just never went that far. Now everybody may have a different opinion, but based off the interviews I've seen, the energy she brings when that man's names come in her presence, it's clear to me. Even what it's been 25 years since this man has been rest in peace, Tupac.
Yeah.
But come on, 25 years. I don't even see no disrespect to people who suffer losses in their family, but I don't even see people you know worship, still holding that same feeling towards a wife or a husband that got that passed away, or a family member that got passed away. Yeah, you hold that person in high regard. Don't get me wrong. You always keep that memory. But come on, man, it's clearly obvious that this was the man that if perfect worlds was aligned, she would be with today. I think ultimately Will Smith was one of those people, and I love Will Smith. I think Will Smith is the exact opposite of what she said. Will Smith wanted Jada, and I think Tupac isn't around. And I don't get me wrong, I'm not saying she don't love him,
Mm-hmm.
but we have heard those stories of that girl or that guy that would date somebody, but they still want the ex back, or they still have feelings for the other person. And if that opportunity came, they will go take the opportunity. So I'm not surprised that she said that. And this goes into. I'm not going to talk too much because I know you want to go, but I know a lot of people hate Jada. A lot of red table talk and all the stuff that she says to downgrade Will Smith. But like I said, I'm not surprised. I kind of knew it from day one. Every time she talks about Tupac, it seems she has more love for him than her own husband. I could be wrong. This is not a slight. I'm just saying. I feel like if Tupac was alive, if she had the opportunity, she'd take it.
Yeah. All right. So, I actually didn't see that portion of the interview, or maybe this is a completely separate interview. So it's actually good for me that I got a chance to read what she said verbatim. So when she says, if there's such a thing as past lives, I definitely think that Pac and I have traveled a few together. Um, and she said that there was no chemistry between them, and that it's that friendship love chemistry. And I feel where she comes from when she says it was almost like God made us that way. Basically, that you guys are, going to be a perfect fit in terms of friendship, but that romantic quality is not going to be there. Now, I feel where she's coming from. And when you're someone who has, I guess, those types of spiritual beliefs, because not everybody believes in past lives. Not everybody does. Like you having a previous incarnation, and maybe you might have a connection with someone in this lifetime. And if it wasn't what it was supposed to be in this one, then you guys are going to meet again in the next one. I feel where she's coming from. Now, I could definitely see where people are coming from, where they feel like, Jada probably had a lot more feelings for Pac than her. But again, like, I won't really know unless I talk to Jada Pinkett myself and I ask her. And no one's ever gonna have that conversation with Tupac because unfortunately, he's not here, right? But what I will say is this, because I read Will Smith's book from top to bottom. I read it twice. From what I got from everything he said about Jada and their marriage, and its highest highs and its lowest lows, is that they are two completely different people from two completely different worlds, right? And what I really believe is that you can have people that are complete opposites, and the fact that you guys are opposites, that polarity is going to attract the two of you together, right? One of my ex-girlfriends, she was the complete opposite of me. But yet that, again, opposite polarity brought us together, right? But that opposite, or let's say that opposition, is exactly what's going to pull you guys apart eventually. And Will Smith said in a Breakfast Club interview that he was jealous of her relationship with Tupac. He was honest. He was like, yeah, yo, I was jealous to the point where me and him were in the same room and I couldn't bring myself to say anything to him because how my wife felt about him didn't necessarily sit right with me. You know what I'm saying? And then even Jada said, like, yo, like they, she felt that knowing the both of them so well that they would actually get along, but neither of them could, I guess, bring themselves to talk to one another. Now, here's my thing. I think the fact that they were not able to talk to one another, I think there was something there. And I'm just being honest with you, dog. Like, okay, let's say your girlfriend, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's say if I'm the Tupac in this social triangle. Let me not even call it a love triangle. All right, I'm gonna call it a love triangle because they both of them had love for Jada. Okay, so let's call it a triangle. And I'm just being honest. This is information that they put out there, and I am super close to Natalie. Me and her, we grew up together. We went to high school together. You know what I'm saying? And like basically, I was the closest thing to a boyfriend without actually having been a boyfriend. So we never had sex. None of that shit. I think we might have kissed once or twice, but there was nothing really there to build a substantial, relationship on. Now, you are her boyfriend now, or you're her husband now, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I truly have no romantic feelings for Natalie whatsoever, then there should be nothing stopping me from just saying hello to you in person and having that conversation. There should be no like discomfort, at least on my end. So let's say if I'm Tupac, if I love Jada so much, I should be able to be like, yo, Will, what's up, man? Yo, what's happening? All of that. So that way Will can say, oh shit, that's really just her friend. If he's able to just come up to me and then just support my relationship and marriage with her because he's friends with her so much, then I think that, you know what I'm saying? You get where I'm going with this. Like,
Yeah.
both of them, there was something there. Like, I truly believe that there is something there. And this kind of feeds, my mentality that I've been trying to get rid of the last couple of years is that men and women cannot really be friends. All right. And I have one female friend in my life that I call her, we talk. She's actually got a boyfriend. And she got a boyfriend. They live together and all that shit. He doesn't like when she's on the phone late at night, which means that I can't talk to her sometimes when I want to, right? But there's always one person, sometimes both. There's always one person, like you said earlier, that if the stars were aligned, if the perfect situation was presented, or if the opportunity was presented, they would happily get in a relationship with that said friend. That is a fact. That is a fact, especially when you're dealing with a man that is attractive and a woman that is attractive. And if they both know that they're attractive, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's so freaking complicated because I want to just take what Jada Pinkett says at face value because, again, until I actually, if I sat and talked to her for like an hour and a half, 2 hours and shit, we're just talking about love, relationships, everything. And then let's say if she decided to tell me about her relationship with Pac, maybe I would have a better understanding. But a lot of the people like us who are having these types of discussions, we don't know anything. Not one person that is out in the media talking about Will and Jada and Tupac are really in the know to really be able to have like a substantial understanding of what she's talking about. But again, this same female friend that I have that I'm talking about, right? She's not my type. I'm not really attracted to her. Is she ugly? No, but she's not a girl that I typically go for. But I will say there was a point where she was feeling me. So that proves that statement or that fact that there's always somebody that is willing to get romantically involved with that person and transition it from being a platonic friendship to a romantic relationship. So, it's just one of those things where it's very complicated. And I think that the old me would be a little bit more pissed off at Jada, but because I've had more relationship experiences and I've matured and I've lived a bit more life, I'm not as, like critical of her. Because again, it's like, yo, like you have friendships with somebody like, yo, that was her friend. That was her friend. Like, and honestly, that type of friendship that she had with Tupac is a lot deeper than a romantic relationship in some aspects. You know why? Because you're only with that person as long as certain conditions are met. And when those conditions are no longer met, you guys are either going to get a divorce or you guys are going to break up. That is not unconditional love, right? And I think Will and Jada, they have that for each other, but again, it's complicated now because they were romantically involved. Tupac and Jada were not romantically involved. So therefore, no matter what type of life or whomever, Jada Pinkett Smith would be with, whomever Tupac would be with, they would still have love for each other as friends. And I see exactly why they never got involved with each other, because romance ruins relationships. Triple R. Romance ruins relationships. That is a fact. Sometimes you don't want to take it there because it's like, yo, I think, and that's true. When this said girl, who I'm still cool with now, when she was like, yo, I like you, right? I felt like that was the first time in my life that I felt like she was better off in my life as a friend. Because if we got involved with each other, so let's say if I was just like, all right, you know what? All right, so I'm gonna see what's up with it. Our relationship would cease to have that purity that it once had. So when you see Jada Pinkett Smith still talking about him in such a way, is because this is a guy that had unconditional love for her in a way that the purity of it will never get ruined. This is why she puts him on such a pedestal, as she should. I understand, that if you're married, maybe you shouldn't talk about it that way. But now the dots are connecting, because when she was saying all of these things about Tupac in the last 7 years, well, they were separated. But was she saying all that much about Tupac prior to 2016? Not really. You see what I'm saying? So now it makes sense. So you feel me? But go ahead.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? But I will say this too, because I think if she would have done it, if this whole separation thing didn't happen, she would have got slammed a lot more for it. But here's the thing for me, right? And I listen to Tupac every day, at least once. So I'll listen to. I
Tupac is
really
one of
do
the
like
GOATs.
this.
To me, Tupac
He
is one of
is.
the greatest. To me, he's the greatest rapper of all time.
Absolutely. I love Tupac. I love his music. I would have loved to meet him. Here's where it gets tricky, right? Because it's not like Jada Pinkett knew him all her life. This is not a guy that, because she's in her 50s now, and I think she only knew Tupac 10 years, maybe more. But she's been married to Will way longer than him. And I'm not saying that ruins the dynamic she's talking about with Tupac. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, I find, for me personally, I think anybody would find it odd if you're married to somebody, been in a committed relationship with somebody for so long, and they still talking about this one person. Like I said, we all know that one person, or we've been that person that if that opportunity came, we will take it. How many dudes, and it happens to girls, but how many dudes we know? Oh yeah, he's just waiting. He will pick this girl up. He'll buy her food. He'll buy a flower. He'll do everything just for the sake of getting that one opportunity. Now they're friends. They hang out. They're friends. He's a shoulder to cry on for her. Vice versa, whatever. But they're just friends. But that dude is holding out until that opportunity shows up. I think Jada. I think the reason why nothing ever happened was because Tupac never saw Jada in that way. I think
Well,
Tupac.
she apparently, and this is all new. She said that while he was in jail, he proposed to her. That's what she said. She legit said that. This is why I'm doing this quick take now, because it's so much that has come out, right? That's why, and again, it lends itself to what I said earlier, that there had to have been something there. Like, it might not have been something, like romantically, something may have undertoned that relationship, right? But as we speak, I'm looking at this one particular picture of Pac and Jada, right? And I would want a Jada in my life where she's not my girl, but she is a safe space for me no matter what I'm going through in life. Like a legit, solid friend. Like that genuinely loves me and wants my best interest, whether she's my girl or not. I could get married or some shit. And then she could fill in for my best man. I might not have a best man. I might have a best girl type shit. Like that's because he was dating Quincy Jones's daughter around the time that he passed away, Kidada Jones. So that's what I'm saying. They were living completely, separate lives, but they still had love for each other. Must be nice. I don't know what that's like. In my whole entire lifetime right now, I've never met not one girl that has ever come close to a Jada. And then those girls that I kind of got that vibe from, I ended up dating them. And then again, romance ruined that relationship because I'm not talking to any of them right now. Do you see what I'm saying? So people are trying to cast like their negative perceptions onto that relationship. But again, if you know what I know, you don't look at it that way. Again, I can see why people do, but when you reach a certain level of consciousness and maturity, you'll know it wasn't all that. Like, again, it's like my lesser self, my lower vibrational self feels like, yeah, okay, he might have been feeling her, she was feeling him, but just the circumstances were never right. But then again, here's the thing, right? They went to the Baltimore School of the Arts together. Okay, they went to Performing Arts High School together, right? If it was all of that, something would have happened already. They knew each other before they were even famous. So if they were really feeling each other like that, it would have happened way before it got there. And she even said it. She said that they tried. They said that they kissed. They sat together and they were like, yo, let's just try it and see like how we feel about it. They said it didn't feel right. I know what they're talking about. I've kissed chicks before and shit didn't feel right. And then that was the last time I ever saw them because, you know what I'm saying? There was no friendship there. And I'm like, all right, well, if there's no friendship there, there's no romance there, then bye. But because they stayed around each other, because they were better off as friends. You recognize he's a handsome guy. She's a handsome girl. But there are certain shoes that are better off on the shelf than on you. Some shoes will look better on you than me. That is a fact. And Will Smith overall, and I'm pretty sure Tupac would agree, that he was better for her than him. Even if, let's say, he did want to, try that, he knew that Will Smith was the better option because look at how it turned out for her. Look at how it turned out.
Let me say this, and I think you're right. I think the point I'm making more so is, nothing. I don't think anything sexually happened between them, right? But there's there could be two reasons why. Either you both choose to, or the other option, which is normally what happens when there's a guy and a girl, is usually somebody's cock block. Well, I wouldn't say cock blocking, but the other person's not interested. And I think,
but this is what I'm saying. When you meet somebody, all right, I'm just gonna use my experiences for instance. When I meet girls that I like, and then they like me back, things happen very fast. Things happen usually pretty fast, or steadily. Like things happen fast, or they steady. Like you get what I'm saying, okay? Things happen.
right.
Things happen, and it doesn't take all that long for them to happen. So what I'm saying is they've known each other since before they were famous. They were kids. If something was going to happen between those two, they had plenty of time for that to happen. If there were romantic seeds within that relationship between those two, it had plenty of time to grow. And that span of time between the time that they met each other in Baltimore and the time that they were famous and single. Because there was a time in 1993, freaking Jada was dating Wesley Snipes for a little while. Okay, so Tupac, if he was really feeling her like that, he could have easily stood up in there like, yo, Jada, what's good?
But I don't think he was, though.
But because he wasn't interested. She could have easily probably professed her love for him. But again, you know what I'm saying? And then he proposed to her. She said no. This is what I'm saying. Like, they were never on that same romantic wavelength ever. And according to what she said, the only reason why he proposed to her is because he felt like he wanted somebody to be there with him going through that experience every single day. She was like, well, I'm here for you anyway. I don't need to be married to you in order for me to be there for you. See what I'm saying? So that's that purity right there. He could feel like, yo, damn, maybe I'm gonna have to propose to her so she can stay. And then because the average chick, you do something like that, the relationship will always be awkward and off. She knew because she was genuinely his friend. Like, you don't even mean that, Pac. You didn't even mean that. I got your back regardless. You don't even have to go there. You don't need Maris to have me in your corner. She's a real one. She's a real one. That's a fact.
You know, I mean, here's the thing, and I'm looking at it this way, right? Because you are making some good points, right? And just take a step back. If everybody listen, think about this for a second, right? Let's say they had the most amazing friendship until his death, right? They done everything together, whatever the case may be, friendship, right? Now, we're in our 20s, right? Now, imagine your 50s, right? You, I'll just keep it on Jada because it'd be easier. 25, 26 years later, she's been married for 23 years, married to one of the biggest, if not the biggest, actor of all time, you know, and even then, they're still married. She's still talking about Tupac. And like I said, I love Tupac. I'm sure she loves Tupac too. But again, as someone, I can look at it in Will Smith's shoes, right? Because you mentioned how they men and women know when you're in the space with a partner and you walk into a room and two people have history, sexual or not. We all know, and we it's an instant thing. I'm sure Will Smith has known when he walks in a room with Tupac. Well, back then, he knew the energy. He knew what was going on, and he felt something. Those two men knew something was up. I'm not saying that Tupac was sleeping with her behind his back, but Will Smith knew what was up. We know instinctively, yeah, someone could be married for that many years and still find somebody else the true part. I'm not saying that she didn't love Will Smith, because I think Will Smith has been asked about Tupac many a times, even while they were married. But I do think deep down, Will Smith really truly feels like, and I think even the kids did an interview talking about this, where I think, oh yeah, I remember during the whole slap thing or whatever, Willow Smith came on. She was talking about Tupac, how her mother will always talk about Tupac to her. A daughter that never met Tupac, who wasn't born when Tupac was dead, she knows more about Tupac than like anybody our age would know, right? And I say this out of respect because, like I said, I love Tupac. I don't have any problem with Jada. I just still find it interesting after being married for 23 years with, like I said, Will Smith. She's still bringing up this man's name in such high regard. And I'm not saying she can, but it's weird. I think if I was Will Smith and I've been married for that long and my girl's still talking about this man, I don't know. I think anybody would look at it any type of way because we all have friendships that, maybe not everybody, but,
not on that level.
People,
not on the level that she had with Pac. That is like usually uncharted territory for most people. Most people can't handle a relationship like that, but go on.
Yeah, you're right. And I'm not saying I could be 100% wrong here, and she really just that friendship was something that she holds dearly to her heart. I could be wrong. I will admit that I could be wrong. However, I just find it interesting now and even before. It just always seemed to me, I don't know Will Smith's thoughts, I don't know, but it always just seems to rub me the wrong way when she brings up Tupac because again, when you're married to somebody who you already know has some type of sense about Yatu's relationship, before his death, he already had that thing in his mind. So when you keep bringing that man's name up, in the back of his mind, he's thinking, "Yo, do she really love me?" I don't know
I
what
feel
Will
you.
Smith feel like,
Yeah,
but anybody
but
can relate to that, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine you with a girl who had a friendship, yeah, 20, our age right now, in the 20s, she had a good friendship and he passed away, right? Yeah, y'all go on, y'all get married, y'all have the house, y'all make a lot of money, y'all have children, and then y'all 50s and 60s. She's still bringing up this man's name in such high regard. It just seems to me, like I said, I think that Jada had I wouldn't say infatuation, but I really feel like she looked at Tupac as, I wouldn't say the man of her dreams, but the man that she really wanted, or at least the idea of. And I think, even though, yeah, I do think she did love Will Smith, but I think her love for Tupac is way greater than Will Smith. Why? Because if she loved Will Smith more than she loved Tupac, or at least in the same level, she wouldn't constantly keep bringing up this man's name. I wouldn't, and if me and Natalie, well, we're not married, but if I was married for 25 years to a woman, I wouldn't go on a press interview and say, "Oh yeah, yeah, we've been separated for 2 years." By the way, let me talk about this girl that I grew up with. Come on, man, it just
Right,
smells
right,
fishy to
right.
me. Like I said, I could be wrong. I could kiss the floor tomorrow, be wrong. I just think that she loved Tupac and she really wanted to be with him, and just things didn't work out. But she still wants to. Like I said, we all know that one person who will run back to an ex, who will run to a friend, that friend or that person in that circle that they really want to be with, but because the opportunity hasn't arisen yet or won't arise, they just
Right.
gonna sit there. That's how I feel. I could be
Well,
wrong though.
well, I mean, I will say this because I'm like looking at just pictures of Tupac and Jada, together and stuff like that. They do seem like kindred spirits, you know what I'm saying? And this is why I feel like, what she said about, them having like a past life connection, like that's a fact. Like, I don't know if you know what that's like, but there are some people that they're put in your path and there's so much more to their presence in your life than just what meets the eye, if you get what I'm saying. Like, it's like karmic ties, soul ties, like past life connections, like those things are real. Those things are real. Now, here's the thing. She talks about it because there are some relationships that you just don't forget sometimes. And again, most people are uncomfortable with opposite gender friendships. Society can't handle it. There was a point where I couldn't handle it. Like, when Will Smith talks about, being jealous and all that shit, like, I know what that's like. I'm not going to get into the whole story, but I had, my first ex and shit like that. She had, a white boy, best friend and shit like that. I didn't like that shit. I didn't like that shit at all, to be honest with you. And then again, it's like, oh yeah, he grew up with me and all that shit. I'm not trying to hear that. You know what I mean? So I know what it's like to be in that situation where you're the boyfriend, and then here comes this dude that's supposed to be, her friend, and then it throws you off. You know what I mean? But I'm not the same guy that I was back then. So my reaction to it will be a little bit differently. Like, especially it's like you won't really know how, that relationship really is until you're the third person in that room and you see how they interact with each other. You'll know if something is up. Now, if you choose to stay in a part of that love triangle, is really on you, at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Again,
Yeah,
like, if Will Smith was assured by Jada that nothing was going on between the two of them, and again, me personally, that's like, okay, I look at girls that I've been known for 10, like I've known since middle school, high school, all of that shit, right? They know me, I know them. If something was gonna happen between me and them, it would have happened already. That's what I'm saying. That's why I feel like that's like the ultimate, like negator in that situation, or that negates, the speculation about them, is because if they found each other so sexually attractive, so romantically attractive, they thought that, this person is the one for me. They've known each other for fucking 10 plus years. If that was gonna happen, they were in high school, like what, in the late 80s? They had 10 plus years to figure that shit out. And it didn't happen. Why? Because that was never really there. And I think, honestly, the relations between men and women will improve once we learn to accept what's uncomfortable. See, you got to learn how to eat vegetables and shit like that when you're a little kid. You don't like vegetables, but it's good for you. See, if I had a woman like that in my life, it would be good for me. Sometimes just because she's pretty don't mean I got to smash. Sometimes she is just in my life to be, of assistance, to support me, to give me what I can't get from you and other niggas that I know. I honestly, I envy that type of relationship. I envy that shit. So this is why that same girl that I mentioned earlier, we're still cool. I support her friendship with her her boyfriend and stuff like that, so she can't get on the phone. I mean, that's cool. Maybe I should have more female friends in my life that I could just call and talk to about whatever it is that I want to talk to, because it's a certain type of energy you get from women that you don't get from other guys. Why do you think Tupac was constantly always surrounded by women? And a lot of times when they say, oh, me and Tupac were friends, shit, I believe them for the most part, because Tupac
yeah,
was,
for the most.
smashing mad chicks. Okay.
Oh
But
yeah,
let's say Jasmine Guy said that she went to go see Tupac in jail a couple of times, because when Tupac did the episode of A Different World with Jada, Whitley Jasmine Guy was, in that episode. You see what I'm saying? So maybe they were just cool. That's what I'm saying. Tupac was smart enough to surround himself with feminine energy because us as men, we need that to balance out. To balance out. You can't always just have 100% masculine energy all the time. You got to balance. It's all about balance, yin and yang. So she was the yang to his yin. So when they got together, they both felt at their best. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes you ruin relationships with romance. That's just a fact. That is just a fact. And again, I'm coming from I'm giving a higher perspective, which is what most people don't have. That's what I'm saying. And it's uncomfortable to think a married woman is talking about her guy best friend from the 90s. He died in 96. She's still talking about him now. Because where the place of envy that I'm speaking from is the place of love that she's looking back at Pac from. That's what I'm saying. And most people, they don't have that. So they don't know what it's like because they can't relate. They can't relate because most people have never had such a layered relationship with someone else. Most people cannot relate to Will and Jada separating. They're still in contact with each other. They still do appearances. They still are partners because the average person can't handle that. Jada Pinkett Smith is a real one. She is a real one. That is a fact. That's what I'm saying. And I'm saying that not because from the aspect of being a Will Smith fanboy. I'm just saying that as a nigga that has had many relationships in life. I've had ups in life. I've had downs in life. And I've come out on the other side a way better person than I was before all of that shit. So this is why I'm able to say that. I understand where a lot of y'all are coming from. But where I am now, the conclusion that I am coming to is that Tupac and Jada were just friends.
All right, yeah. So here's the thing. You're 100% right. I'm not saying you're wrong at all. I actually agree with what you're saying. I think a lot of people, especially me, not especially me, but me included in that group, feel the way we do because of her actions. The way how she talks about, like the red table talk has rubbed a lot of people the wrong way because she's spilling beans about her marriage. She's talking about Will Smith and all this stuff. And like I said, when it smells like a duck and walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, sometimes it look like a duck, right? When you have children, it's one thing if she just spoke highly about him in public. But now we're talking about her children who were born many years after his passing. She's talking about this man. Willow Smith is what? I think 21.
She's in her early 20s. Early 20s.
Yeah, early 20s. And she knows way more about Tupac than someone who is maybe 30. You know what I'm saying? And I think
because that's her mom. That's her mom. And they sat, that's what I'm saying. She had the opportunity to sit and ask her mom questions about Tupac because she exposed the internet. She probably seen a different world. She's like, oh, who is he? And then they probably sat and talked for hours. That conversation that I haven't had with Jada yet, she had it. So she understands. She gets it. Willow Smith gets it. I don't think Willow was trying to be disrespectful to her dad, who was the freaking greatest actor, one of the best human beings of all time. Why would she do that? Why would she do that?
No, I'm not saying she was trying to be disrespectful. It's just
most people think that she was. I'm not saying you, but most because when we're talking, we're not only talking to each other, we're talking to like society at large. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Everybody else too.
Yeah, but like I said, like you said, and I don't want to jump too much into that what I said earlier, but like I said, if you with a partner who already feels a type of way about a relationship, even if nothing happened, right? Because like I said, you can be, your girl right now, right? Let's say, you dating a girl and she accused you of cheating with this one girl, right? You said, nah, nothing happened. That just because nothing happened don't mean you ain't waiting for something to happen. It could just be that girl is not ready or it doesn't want anything to do with you in that way. But you would. So I'm not saying that she's a bad person or anything. It's just like I said, the way how she talks, the thing she said online about her, Will Smith. I don't know if you're gonna get into the whole slap thing that she talked about.
Yes, we are.
So I won't get into that just yet. But that's another thing that's gonna come up. That again, it just makes it seem like she will dog. Like actually, I'm gonna wait till you bring it up because I want to ask you a question that directly ties to what we're talking about right now to that, and I want to see your reaction. But
right. So basically, Jada Pinkett Smith, and I don't really need to read the article, but basically, Jada said that she was surprised at the slap situation. She said that she thought Will Smith going on stage was a part of the show, that it was a skit, and she didn't realize that it was fake until he came back to his chair. She also said that she was surprised that Will called her his wife because they had been separated for so many years, so she didn't understand why he was calling her that. Um, and she doesn't feel that she's to blame, or she doesn't understand why she's, come under fire following the Oscar slap, because basically it's like a guy said something disrespectful to you, so who we presume to be your husband went up to defend your honor, and you didn't, really vehemently defend him the way that people, would have expected you to. And now you're saying that you are, surprised at the fact that it happened. And I'm trying to see if there was anything else that she said, in particular, but, because she did mention, Crack Rock, who we'll get to, in a little while. But what did you think about, or what do you think about her saying that she thought that the slap was a part of the show, that she doesn't feel that she's to blame for that situation, and, so on and so forth?
I'm glad you brought this up, and I'm actually the question right before I'll let you go. At the end of the day, we're all individuals, whether you're married, single, whatever. We're all individual. Did she put the hand on Chris Rock? No. But it's one of those things where I've read cases of women, testifying for, mass murderers and, their husbands, so they don't go to jail. I've seen women and men, I've seen them do anything. Their partner, their husband or wife can do the most heinous crimes on this planet. I've heard, husbands molesting children and raping children, and the wife will go on the stand and defend them. And you telling me she couldn't defend this man over a slap? Yo, look, at the end of the day, that is irrelevant about what I just said. I feel like, again, this goes back to what I said before. I think Will Smith loved Jada more than she loved him. And it happens. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes we're in a relationship where we may love the person more than they love us. That doesn't mean that person doesn't love us, but that just means that you have more invested than the other person. And I think that she could have done a way better job, at least standing by her husband, quote unquote, because I want to get too far ahead because I know you got other stuff you want to bring up, but I just find that hard to believe. The man that's been provided for your family, all American, everybody held him in high regard. Even till this day, I still love Will Smith. Many other people do. Everybody has something to say, whether to stand up for him or not. And as his wife, I'm not talking about a former fling, a boyfriend of 6 months, a man you've been married to for 23, 25 years, and you couldn't at least come out with a little dignity and say, hey, she could have said something like, I wouldn't have wanted him to do that because of I wouldn't have wanted him to slap him, but I understand why he did it, because he was trying to defend me. She could have said something like that. Why, again, why is she throwing this man under the bus like that? Again, but this is a question I want to ask you though, before you go.
Right.
Now we're talking about this. We've been spending the last 30 minutes talking about Tupac. Now let me ask you a question.
What's up?
What if Tupac was around, right? The man she holds in high regard, right? And she's still married to Will Smith or whatever, but let's say Will Smith wasn't there. Tupac was there with her. And Tupac took offense to Chris Rock saying the thing he did to Jada. Do you think if Tupac went up there and slapped him, do you think she'd be saying the same thing she'd be saying right now? Or do you think she'd be covering him?
Honestly, I'm not at liberty to answer that question, because that just means that I would have to be able to read Jada Pinkett Smith's mind. I don't know. Like I can't, take what I think that she probably would have done. I don't think it's fair to her, pretty much, because again, I hope to meet these people one day. But I also want to throw this out there. I'm a big, I'm into astrology, and I see the astrological aspects as it relates to Will and Jada clearly indicate romance versus Tupac and Jada. It really indicates long-term friendship. I'm into astrology, so I kind of know that. But anyway, I think I could probably see why she thought that it was a skit. And now here's why. Because when he said, what did he say? Oh, G.I. Jane 2? Can't wait to see it. fucking crack rock, Chris Rock. I hate that guy. Will was laughing at first. He was laughing at first. At least the shot when they cut to Will and Jada, he was laughing. So I see why she went from, or how Will went from laughing to then slapping and then cursing him out. And again, it makes sense why she didn't come out and defend him, because they weren't together. So I don't think she didn't feel responsible for his actions. I think if that slap happened while they were together, she would have been a bit more, defensive as it relates to what happened at the Oscars. So it seems like when things happen between the two of them, when they come out and talk about it, they give context. So we see exactly why certain things are happening or not happening, because all the dots are now connected. So I understand. Now, if I want my ex-wife or my separate, whatever it is that they call that. So let's say, so technically they're still married, legally married. So that is his wife, because
That is his wife.
legally they're still married. You know what I'm saying? But again, they're two completely different people. And I'm actually going to expound on that a little bit later. But damn, I forgot what I was going to say. What was I saying?
You said they were two completely different people.
Yeah, so they're basically two completely different people. So she's looking at it like, I'm not with you anymore, so I'm not your wife. He's looking at it like, I'm still legally married to you, so him disrespecting you is disrespecting me. If I see you took offense to it, so I'm going to slap his ass. And what's funny, in 2016, she said that freaking Chris Rock asked her out to dinner. She said that when the divorce rumors and all of that shit was going on, he was like, oh, he called her up and said, hey, I'd like to take you out to dinner or something like that. And then she was like, wow, what do you mean? He was like, oh, you and Will are not together, right? And then she said, no, we're still together. And then he apologized. Will found out about that, clearly. And one thing I said, and y'all can all look this up if you're still at this point in this video, I have a few videos where I talk about the Oscars, slap situation and all of that. And one of them was me reacting to Will Smith's apology, which is ironically enough around this time last year. And he was like, oh, I've always had a good relationship with Chris. And I was like, Will, that's not your friend. He's not your friend. And one thing, I think he gets it now, but one thing I see some celebrities don't understand is that they're like entertainment friends. They're not your real friends. Like he was like, oh, me and Tony Rock, we had a great relationship. Why? Because you guys worked together on All of Us. You were the producer. Technically, you were cutting Tony Rock's checks. If Tony Rock was really your friend, then his first reaction would not be to call you and your wife out of your name at his comedy show. He was like, oh yeah, we are. What I don't even know what the fuck he said. Like he said some shit that was disrespectful. If he was actually your friend, when he saw that, he would at least called you and be like, yo, Will, so what's up? Yo, I saw you slap my brother. What's going on? I thought we were friends. You see what I'm saying? But people who are not your friend, when you do something that they don't like, they're immediately going to jump ship, regardless if you guys are cordial or not. So everything makes 100% sense. When freaking August freaking Alsina, terrible ass artist, was all in the equation, they weren't together. They were not together, or their relationship was on the rocks at that point. So that was leading up to the fact that they separated. You see what I'm saying? And then again, it's like they are having the same types of what's happening to them happens to everybody. And that's what I said in my initial reaction to her interview. I guess it's a big deal because it's Will and Jada, and people projected perfection on them more so than they did. All they did was just set a positive example for people to follow. They are one of the very few examples of Black love in entertainment right now. Very few. Because now, as we see, interracial dating and marriage is a lot more common and it's more popular amongst Black men and women. So they're the ones who, they were like, well, if we're separated, okay, fine. But at least we owe it to the people that have supported us in our careers to still uphold that positive image. You see what I'm saying? Like these are selfless people. Not only for, me, what I'm saying, as a long time, lifelong supporter of them, but also their kids who probably know what's going on behind the scenes, but they're still like, hey, when you get in a marriage and things don't work out, follow us in terms of maintaining, a semblance of a healthy relationship, maintaining a healthy relationship, being partners. Did we not talk about, I think like a couple of quick takes, ago, where I said it's about partnership, a relationship, or the recipe for a successful relationship or marriage, or relationships in general, is you do have romance in it. That is a part of it. Sexual attraction, overall compatibility and all of that, but you need respect, you need loyalty, you need honesty, you need, that support, unconditional support, that even if all the aforementioned go out the window, you will still have my best interest regardless. The average person, the average layman, 9-to-5ers, other famous people, they don't have that shit. They don't know what it's like. This is why I said that most relationships only last a couple years, because people are banking on romance and relationships to carry them through the hard times. And I said yesterday, I'll say it again, if you are relying on those things to get you through hard times, going on dates, taking pictures, looking cute for social media, the surface level shit, it ain't gonna last that long. But look at them. They've been in a relationship for over 23, 24, 25 years. The average relationship does not make it to that point. And what was the common denominator in addition to romance and all of that? What did she say? Partnership. At least. Yeah, okay, I might have heard or caught wind of you dating somebody else, but you know what? That doesn't mean I have to hate your guts. You see what I'm saying? Maturity. They have that. Average people don't have that. And how do average people react to something that is different than them? They laugh at it. They tear it down. That's what they do. And this is what we are seeing happening to Will and Jada Smith. People are tearing them down. So you're seeing who you said is your favorite couple and all that shit. Now you see them going through a rough patch. And then the first thing you do is laugh at them and make jokes and memes and shit like that. Get the fuck out of here. No, that is not me. Even if I am a Will Smith, fanboy and stuff like that, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to tear her down. Shit, I might meet her one day. And how am I going to look this woman in the, with a clear conscience and a smile, knowing that I jumped on the bandwagon and was talking trash to her too? I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Not only as a Will Smith fan, but again, as a young man that has lived enough life, I've learned from all the relationship mistakes that I made in the past. I've learned from the mistakes that I made in general. I've took it upon myself to become a better person, to become a better boyfriend, and maybe husband one day, but that's probably not going to happen. But if it does, I learned from that shit. Because when everybody's laughing at some shit, I'm going to say, well, what are they laughing at? I'm gonna really examine that shit before I start laughing. The only thing that I freaking laughed at was entanglement. That was the only thing that I laughed at because I thought that word was funny. That's it. Like entanglement. It sounds like a stupid ass word. But other than that, I didn't think it was funny. Because I'm like, they're the ones that got to open up their phones and then get freaking hundreds of thousands of mentions on social media from people that are talking trash about them. You look at freaking Jada Pinkett Smith's Instagram right now, she turns the comments off because she don't want to read that shit. Just imagine. And I know what it's like because I could put up a YouTube video. Motherfucker doesn't, agree with what I'm saying. So then they talk trash about me. I don't even know these people. So we have to have empathy for Will and Jada who are going through this shit. They didn't really ask for their relationships to be on Front Street, or they didn't know that, wow, society is just going to laugh at us. They're not going to laugh with us. They're laughing at us. And even if you do have sympathy for Will Smith, don't tear down his fucking wife. You don't know how he feels about her. You don't know how he feels about her. Huh?
No, I just, you know why I disagree with that, the last part you said? Because you can't, I know what you're coming from, right? But at the same time, look what she's saying. She like, why you calling me wife? We separate. So in that point,
Well,
I
guess what?
disagree.
Guess what? I've been looking up to Will Smith since I was a little kid. And again, like in the room, I am not the leader. I am following Will Smith until I learn enough from him to then become the new leader myself. So if the leader is not saying she's the bad guy, then she is not the bad guy until I hear from him. He didn't say anything yet. When Will Smith does some tell-all interview and then he speaks the truth, I will support him. But until that happens, I don't know how Will Smith feels yet. Because
Right.
remember, I told you on the phone, I said, for all we know, Will Smith probably doesn't care. Will Smith could be laid up with some super sexy, freaking voluptuous model, for all we know, or some shit. So we don't know how he feels yet until he says something. So I cannot project my assumptions on how he feels on him. I refuse to do that because I hope to meet Will Smith one day. And then when he checks the receipts, he will say, this guy right here, not only is he a phenomenal actor, a man after my own heart, but he was a loyal fan and I trust him. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. So at some
Yeah.
fucking point when Will Smith is listening to this shit, or I'm at his crib and then we're watching this shit back, and I'm like, yeah, Will Smith, I was about that shit. I was holding it down. That's what I'm saying. So people need to wait. If you agree with Will Smith, that is fine. If you feel bad for him, that is fine. But wait for him to say something bad about Jada for you to start, attacking her. Don't attack her. And then even if I don't think what's happening right now is worth assassinating that woman's character. I don't think. Okay, remember when we talked about, and this is one of my favorite quick takes, when we talked about T.J. Holmes and Amy Robach. Remember that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And remember what I said, and you didn't agree when I said is that when you have a marriage with somebody and they cheat on you and you guys get a divorce, if there was a part of you that ever truly loved that person, truly, I'm not talking about fake love, I'm talking about real love, you will be happy for that person because your mentality is going to be she is now free to pursue whatever makes her happy. And now I'm happy because I'm free to find what makes me happy. And if we have kids, if we maintain this right attitude, then our separation is not going to affect our kids. That is a very mature, ideal to have as it relates to divorce. Because, I mean, me being mad and bitter about it is not going to help me. She ain't going to help my kids. So, hey, if me being happy for her is going to help me, let go and move on and take care of my kids with her, hey, it's better than to be mad, right? Most people are not like that. They think, and I used to be one of those people that thought if we're breaking up, that means that I have to be mad at you. That means I have to hate your fucking guts. That's not true at all. That's not true. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. If your girl cheats on you, she'll be like, all right, go be happy. Do your thing. Because I'm going to do mine. That is a fact. I'm going to do mine. So go ahead and do you. I'm pretty sure that's the relationship that Will and Jada have. Obviously, I know there's going to be, complications because, they were married. There was a whole lot there and their relationship changed. And that's the thing with change. It's uncomfortable sometimes. Something my dad always says, which is true, is the only thing that is constant about life is change. Will Smith said that shit in Best Shape of My Life, that you have a great relationship. It's going to change. You know what I'm saying? You like certain things about, I don't know, like I'm trying to think of something superficial and cosmetic, but things change. Everything changes. It's like you work at a job. You love the job when you first start working there. Something's going to change. Something about that job is going to change. Whether your coworkers are going to quit, somebody's going to get fired, there's going to be a new manager. Something is always going to change. And it's unfortunate. I've had relationships with girls where shit was, all great, honeymoon phase, you know what I'm saying? We all up under each other like rabbits, all of that shit. And the next thing, I know there are certain aspects about that relationship that change. And it's how we respond and deal with change. That's the most important thing. And we're looking at two wonderful examples of how you deal with struggles, trauma, obstacles, and turmoil. And we laughing at them. We criticizing them. I refuse to do it. I refuse. I will not.
Here's the thing, right? I'm not here to ridicule. I don't have any hard feelings towards Jada. I love Will, But the reason why Jada has to deal with this is because it's her own doing. People can't use it. You can't walk into a bank with a loaded gun and get mad when someone points the gun at you. She's the one who's coming out. Will Smith doesn't address anything, right? And shout out to him. Some people might call him a simp or whatever.
He's
You know,
not a
people
Will
might
Smith.
have their
Will
opinion.
Smith is not a simp. Okay, and anybody that thinks that Will Smith is a simp, you're an idiot, and I slap you in real life. But go on.
But some people might say, yeah, he need to speak out. I don't think I don't think he will say anything negative about her.
He
Same
doesn't
thing
have
with the
to.
Amy Robach
He
situation.
doesn't have to.
Because no, he doesn't have to, but I think for him, and same thing with Amy Robach's husband. You know, she's running around while he's at home with the kids. They're still legally married. She didn't file no divorce. She's running around with her new boyfriend. Yeah, it's disrespectful, and I don't think he's going to, publicly say anything bad about her because he's worrying about the children. I think Will Smith cares more about his children than about whatever she's saying in the press, right? But this is her own doing. She's the one putting out the ammo for people. Now, do people need to go as harsh as they are? No. But this goes to something I heard before. When you're a public figure, everything is going to be scrutinized, no matter what. You
Exactly.
could be someone, you could be someone who has a platform that donates to homeless people. Whatever you do is going to be scrutinized regardless. Now, it could be positive or negative. And I think in this situation, again, like, at the end of the day, you've been married for 23, 25 years, and the best up you could come up with for this situation was, we've been separated for 7 years. Why is he calling me wife? Oh, by the way, the guy he slapped apparently asked me out on a date. Come on, man. Like, you like,
Because
that's
because
the
you get
thing.
yeah, because you gotta understand there are some people that everybody's different. All right. Like there might be things about, I don't know, like someone that like okay, like there might be certain things about me that you may never understand. There might be certain things about you that I may never understand. And
Right.
clearly there are things about Jada that people don't understand. You know why? Because it's not for you to understand. It's her personal business. No one's asking you to care. Like she's just doing her press run for the people that support her and the people that are going to buy her book on the 17th. That's it. She's not, people think that it's like this big cry for attention. I really don't think so. These people are rich and successful. I don't even really think she really cares. Like if, okay,
Mm,
if, if you are Will Smith, you are, again, arguably the greatest, one of the greatest actors of all time. Okay. And you had issues with your wife. You guys were separated. Fine. Do you really care about the opinions of strangers? Okay, like let's say me, right? I don't give a shit about the opinions of strangers on YouTube or elsewhere. Because you know what I do? I block them. I block them. I don't even read it. Too long, didn't read, block. I'll just make myself cross-eyed temporarily so I can't really read what's in front of me. Block. I don't care. I'm not even going to read it. Will Smith probably don't even look at the comment section on his Instagram. That's what I'm saying. Like, Will Smith doesn't have to say anything because what does he have to prove now? What do I have to prove to you? I'm talking about as if I'm Will Smith. What do I have to prove to you? What do I have to prove to a whole bunch of people that are not as famous as I am? They're not as rich as I am. They don't have half the personality that I do. Most people are assholes, toxic, evil, disgusting, freaking pricks. So why do I have to explain myself to you? You haven't even lived half the life that I have, and you never freaking will. Nobody's gonna remember you when you die. So why would I have to prove myself to you? You see what I'm saying? Like if I'm Will Smith, that's like, okay, let's say if the universe decides to reward me for all my hard work and all the struggles that I've gone through and decides to bless me with a relationship with Justine Skye, or if not her, and let's say, Lori Harvey is available and, I get a chance to date her, what do I care about the opinions of random ass people? Because I know if she breaks up with Damson and then I get with her and I'm this next actor that's dating her, you think I give a damn about what other people think about what I got going on with who's my girl now? I don't give a damn. I don't care. Some random ass people that don't even have my best interest. I didn't know you when I was on the come up. All right, so I'm with her. Whether things go well or things go bad, it ain't none of your damn business. So that's why when I talk about these things, because let's say if I didn't like Will, I didn't like Jada, I wouldn't even be talking about this. You know what I'm saying? But because I do, support the both of them, I'm going to talk about it. And I talk about it in a way that if they were to listen to this, they would be like, we like him. We like him. If he becomes famous one day, we're going to have him over because we like him. That's a fact. That is a fact. I'm always ride, for Will and Jada. See what I'm saying? And again, like there were things that I probably could have said about Jada, but I can't because I know too much. I've grown too much to regress and then just say what everybody else is saying. When have you ever known me in life to follow the crowd? I don't follow the angry mob. If I see an angry mob, well, I'm going to say, all right, well, they're like, yeah, take this pitchfork and then yell this way. Well, what's going on? I'm not taking that. All right, well, what's happening here? What's going on here? Okay, and then if I got to be one of the very few to jump in front of whatever it is that the angry mob is mad at, I will do that. And I will Bruce Lee every one of them motherfuckers. If that's the case, because I have the moral high ground when it comes to this situation. I have the moral high ground. Because again, if everybody's business was being aired out like dirty laundry, was on front, because people were talking about this shit before the Red Table Talk even existed. People were talking about Will and Jada getting divorced since the early 2000s. That's a fact.
Oh, yeah.
So we can't even say it's all on Jada when people were waiting for them to be divorced 20 years ago.
But
this is what I'm saying.
No, but I will say, yeah, there's always going to be that crowd of negative people, right? But I think the majority of people now who are talking about it, me, mostly, like I said, I don't wish any ill will towards them.
Yeah, I know you don't.
But this is the reason why I'm talking about it is people's laundry wouldn't be aired unless you decided to do that, or somebody who's seeking revenge. She's outwardly doing this to herself. Now, again, this is going to be that crowd of people, regardless what she does, are going to hate. Same as Will Smith. But she's the one who's, even if she's doing it because she really wants to, again, when you're a public figure, I don't care how much of a nice person you are. Look at Keanu Reeves. He's one of the most nicest people, and people still find any reason to say anything negative about him, right? But then we have someone like Jada who is outwardly doing this to herself. And I'm not saying that she is doing this for like a self, fulfillment type of thing. She's just, addressing hate. Maybe she is doing this for herself, right? But again, when we're talking about Will Smith is a much more popular and highly regarded actor than Jada is. And that's no disrespect, because she's done some good stuff. But let's be real here. Let's be real. Who's people calling to do movies, Will Smith or Jada? So now you have the most popular actors of all time, of this generation, and his wife is the one doing all the laundry. And like you said, Will Smith doesn't have to do a thing because he don't care. It's not his place. He don't need to.
He's not that guy. He's not that guy. And I wouldn't be that guy either, because I have nothing to prove to a whole bunch of strangers that all of a sudden seem to care about my personal life just because I got more money than them and I got an interesting job. If I'm if the universe, takes it upon itself to, gift me Justine Skye, I'm putting it out there, or Lori Harvey, if she finally decides to, get rid of, Damson Idris and all that. I like him, but I'm just being real.
Come on, tell me
what I do is no one's goddamn business. If I'm dating Justine Skye, Lori Harvey, all right, what I do with those two behind closed doors is nobody's goddamn business. Seriously, Will Smith has a freestyle that I've been listening, and then in the video he says, "Stop the divorce rumors and mind your own business." That is a fact.
And you're right. I'm not saying you're wrong, but what I'm saying is when you have somebody in that camp who's speaking out and feeling those people,
because she's my wife, she can say whatever she wants.
She can, but like I said,
she can say whatever she wants, because again, like, this is not all right. Are people gonna say, "Damn, I'm not gonna go see Bad Boys 4 when it comes out because all the shit that Jada's saying," unless it starts to hurt his box office numbers, which I don't think it will. Why does he care? This is to me, this is not going to affect Will Smith's career or box office numbers at all, because Bad Boys 4 is coming out, and again, I'm gonna go see it. I'm gonna go see it. So yeah.
yeah. But let me say this because here's the and this is not towards Will Smith. This is about Jada, right? For me, it's not. Like I said, there's gonna be people who wants to hear his side and gonna make conclusions about what she's saying towards him. But this goes back to I remember the whole Tyrese thing. But one of the things he was talking about in that interview in the Breakfast Club a couple weeks ago was his ex-wife started doing, or I think she was his wife at the time, and even as his ex, she was doing interviews and slandering this man's name and all this stuff, right? And he was one that really never wanted to address it publicly until now. And that's why a lot of people have these opinions about Tyrese and all this because she's the one who's putting out these news bites and these sound bites for these media articles. So yeah, Will Smith may not care, but for people who may be a fan or a hater of him, or a fan or a hater of Jada, they look at it like, "Yo, you giving us target practice. You giving us
Oh, you
ammo
know
to
what's funny?
use in the case."
You know what I
And
just
that's the
remembered?
thing.
You know what I just remembered?
What?
You know what Jada said though, that I literally just it literally just came into my mind, and you are right 100% about a couple of things you said earlier. So she said that, and this was during the Red Table Talk. I don't even know if you remember. I think from like last year or some
I
shit,
already, yeah, yep.
where she said that her relationship with August Alsina was, it helped her come to terms with unresolved issues or feelings that she had about Tupac. So again, you see, there was something there.
Told
Like I said
you.
earlier, there was something there.
Come on, man.
There was something there. There was something. I just remembered. I just remembered. I
Come
just
on, man.
remembered.
Look, and I'm. This is not about a who's right or who's wrong because we're talking. Everybody's gonna have their opinion regardless, right? But like I said, I may not know everybody. I may not know. I'm not a psychologist or whatever, but I know. It, people, like I said, people know what's up, right? When you walk into a room, you know who's that guy you don't want to mess with. You know who's that guy who brings a certain. You know, and when you're in a relationship, when you walk into a room, especially when you know of a person, it's like sometimes that for instance, because we always hear about women burning up their boyfriend's clothes or whatever. But when that girl and that dude walks into a party or that room and they know about that girl that always talking to her boyfriend, but they just friends. That's what the boyfriend say. But you see the energy that comes off when they're around each other, and
Mm-hmm.
I think Will Smith knows, and I think that Jada, like I said, I could be wrong, but I think that Jada really wishes Tupac was the man of her dreams because, like I said, her
Or he
daughter
was the
knows
man
a
of her
lot of.
dreams, but
Oh yeah, but
again,
he
she
passed
yeah,
away
like, but like
because
they
before.
never they were never able, or she was never able to really express her romantic feelings for him. But here's something we got to keep in mind: like, when you're dating somebody, they're like, and opposites attract is cool. Like, it's cool to really be digging somebody that is like very different from you. But then when you see them, get all lined up with somebody who's just like them, you're gonna feel insecure because you don't have those same qualities that this person does. So that's why it's always best to get somebody that they're like, how should I say, like the same archetype, like the same type, type shit. Like if you're I'm like literally trying to think, like, if you're a waterbender or some shit, date another waterbender. You know what I'm saying? If you're a firebender and you're a waterbender, I'm like, okay, if I'm a waterbender and she's a firebender, all right, like, yeah, opposites attract and shit like that. But then it's gonna be this one firebender that comes around, and all of a sudden she gonna start liking him because she
Right,
relates to him more.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, Will Smith is I think like maybe three years older than Jada. Jada and Tupac were the same age, came up, went to the same school, and all of that. So there were more common denominators as it relates to what you know brought them together, and maybe what made her feel a way about Pac. Because again, Pac was a ladies' man. You know what I'm saying? Pac was a ladies'
No,
man. So,
and
like I said, I just wanted to throw that out there because that shit just like that light bulb just went, off
yeah,
my head because I completely forgot that she said that. And then again, it's like, if that's like if my ex, we break up, and then she gets with some guy that I guess is a guy that reminds her of me. is because she's still kind of hung up on me. And if she's telling
Right.
people that, you know, by being with him, it resolves issues with me, then, you know, it kind of connects the dots. But again, she's not a bad, this does not make her a bad person. She's just human and she's speaking her truth. And a lot of times people don't speak their truths. People walk around with a whole lot of shit that they want to talk about that they never feel they have the space to talk about. And she's talking about, just like me, I'm going to talk about it. If I'm going through some shit, I'm going to talk about it however way I'm going to talk about the shit. And Jada Pinkett Smith is just like that. So again, like, it's just one of those things where she met a love in her life and it meant something to her. It left a stamp on her and she never forgot about it. And the way that she deals with loss, because it's a loss, she knew him, is to talk about the shit.
Yeah, you know, this is honestly, I'm actually surprised how much I had to say because I didn't think I was going to talk this much. But, you know, here's the thing. You said opposites attract, right? And I think one of the things about the reason why I keep bringing up Will Smith and Tupac is not because I'm trying to pit them against each other. Not that, I mean, you know, Tupac isn't here, but like men know, like when men know who's who, what's up. We know how to read the room with other men in there, right? Pause. And I think that I don't know Will Smith personally, but based off what I've been hearing, you know, when I hear someone say soulmate about you know, I don't care how much of a best friend you got, you know, I I will never call another girl if I'm married a soulmate. I don't even care which. It just comes. It just
Because she's
comes
not
across.
conservative. She's a liberal. She's a liberal person. So she's liberal with her feelings. And again, I feel you because we know the implications on the word soulmate, and that's a strong word to use to label somebody. I don't think I've ever had a soulmate ever in life, at least not yet. You know, I think it might be Justine Skye whenever we meet, you know what I'm saying? But I've never had one yet. So, you know, I don't know what that's like. Oh,
No,
but go ahead, because there's something
yeah.
that I want to bring up later.
I bet. Yeah. I'm gonna just wrap this up real quick. But it this is this whole Tupac thing because I just googled it real quick and I already see the media already. Jada Pinkett is embarrassing Will Smith by these words, and it's not because of the way. It's not because she's talking respectfully about Tupac. It's the way how she talks about him. The fact that her daughter, again, I know her daughter's going to ask, the children's going to ask about Tupac. I'm sure, but come on, like your husband already knows this man. He already feels some type of way about this man. You're telling your children about this man to the point where they know this man, like they grew up with him. Come on, and then like 25 years later, why you married, still talking about this man? Like I said, it just reeks a little bit of. Again, I do think not everybody's like this, but we all meet somebody at some point. No matter how good of a partner you might be, they may always have that tie to that one person, that person that got away, the person that they really wanted and couldn't have. But if the opportunity came up, they would take it. And I really truly feel like I don't think Jada will come out and say, "Oh, Tupac hurt me," or "Tupac wasn't." She's not going to say that. And I think that I think, like I said, if Tupac was alive right now, she would be with Tupac if he gave her, or at least if they gave it a chance, she would be with him over Will Smith. Because Will Smith and Tupac, completely two different people. And I always feel like, again, it's more so of the fact that you're married, you have grown children, and you're still talking about a man from, again, I love Tupac, but a man who passed away, 25 years ago, come on, man.
Well,
Like
we
I said, I
understand
think
now. Yeah, like,
we understand. Yeah, yeah.
given everything that we talked about, like now but you have to understand, like you might not agree, but you got to understand where she's coming from. Like, shit, I still think about my exes sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And I'll talk about them if I feel like it. You feel what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
but
Now, if I was in a whole nother relationship with another girl, I probably wouldn't, because I wouldn't get with a girl unless she negates any feelings or thoughts that I have about girls that I used to date. That's that. I know she's good for me if when I'm around her, I don't think of my exes no more. Or if when I make a comparison, if she balances out or if she's better than them, then I'm gonna rock with her. If I'm with a girl and I'm still thinking about my ex, then she's not right for me at all. You know, and I also want to mention this shit, and it's gonna give you even more context. And I don't think I've ever told you this. So in Will Smith's book, basically when they got married, and this is gonna show you how much different they are. She didn't want to have the big extravagant wedding. She didn't. She did not want, like, you know how like girls, they want like the big ceremony, you know, all the flowers, they want that shit, you know, on like the most expensive, you know, golf course looking hill, you know, playing, you know what I'm saying? Like all of that, like, you know what I mean? She
Yep.
didn't want that shit, but Will Smith did. And I think like basically that didn't go well. Like that whole experience wasn't, you know, as picture perfect as we probably would think it was. Will Smith, the house that they live in Calabasas, Will Smith built that for her, custom built, all of that shit. The
Yep.
lake, you know, on there, they got a lake on their property. He called it her lake. She didn't even want it. She flat out told him, I don't want this house. You see what I'm saying? Like, imagine you build something so great, so beautiful, and then when you give it to her, she's like, man, I don't want that shit, but I'm gonna stay in it anyway. Like basically like when when what's her name, Pearl from fucking SpongeBob, when she told Mr. Krabs that she wanted like when she told Mr. Krabs, oh, like I want these like clam shoes or the shell shoes, or the fuck this shit is called. And then the nigga he came in and then he brought her the boots that SpongeBob was wearing, shit like that. And then she was like, Dad, you shouldn't have. Basically, that's what it is. They were two completely different people. So you see what I'm saying? Like, what brought you guys together is not the glue that's gonna keep you guys together. That's what I'm saying. Like, and their relationship is a pure example of what opposites attract, or yeah, what opposites attracts, how it ends up down the line, or what it looks like 25 years later. That's what it looks like. And it doesn't mean that she's a bad person, doesn't mean that Will Smith's a bad person. It just means, yo, their differences are just too much to handle. You know what I'm saying? Or like they had like an anniversary or some shit, you know, he said in the book. And, you know, basically it was this whole extravagant thing that he did. Like he went and got a documentary team to research her ancestors, like her ancestors, her whole family tree, and then weave it all together for a whole documentary piece that they were going to show in front of the whole crowd that was invited to their event. He had like Mary J. Blige come and perform and all of that shit. And then at the very end of the night, they got into an argument. They got into a big ass fight. And then Willow was there, and then she overheard them arguing type shit. This is all in the book. This is all in the book. So this is what shows that, you know, like they look great on paper, but in practice, it's not perfect. And that's fine, because even if, let's say, this is not to say that if her and Tupac were in a relationship that this shit would be perfect. It probably wouldn't. That's why they didn't get in a relationship, because they know, and I think they said that, they were like, yo, we know that if we get into a relationship, it can get destructive, because she knows her personality and he knows his. And sometimes that shit will probably clash, probably worse than it would have with Will. You know what? I think either he wrote it in his book or she said it or something like that. But Jada Pinkett Smith is the type of woman that, if the way that you would consummate commitment in marriage to a woman like her is running 100 miles. And then if you get through that 100 miles, then that proves to her that you guys are really in it together. To her, it is not the flashy marriage ceremony. And I actually like that about her, because I agree. I would rather us consummate our marriage, you know, going bungee jumping or some shit. You know what I'm saying? And then we put on our rings afterwards, than to do just the, you know, janky, typical, traditional, you know, marriage and all that. And that's not to say that's not fun too, because I'm gonna be electric sliding if I ever get married, you know, over there, doing Michael Jackson, all that type of shit. But, you know, like everybody is different. They are two fundamentally different freaking people. And she seems to be a bit more compatible, you know, with, let's say,
Tupac.
again, like men that are, you know, a bit more like, how should I say, like free spirited. I don't know. And it's not to say Will Smith is a free spirited person too. I don't know. Again, it's just what brings you together is not at least with polar opposites, the polarities that attracted you to are going to repel you at some point. And then that's when you rely on the other aspects of your relationship aside from romance. And they had all of that. That is precisely why they made it to 2016. Exactly. That is exactly why Best Shape of My Life came out in 2021. She was in it. When he was writing his book, I don't know if she was at the table when he was reading it. I would have to go back and watch. But basically, she was in it. That's all I'm saying. She was there. She was there. And then she still supports him. There's appearances and all of that. He was going to win his first Oscar. She was there. You see how much of a real one Jada is? Like, I see why Will Smith loved her. I see why Tupac loved her. I needed Jada in my life.
Like I said, I don't think she's a bad person, right? But again, like I think a lot of this stuff, it's her own doing. And I think when you read the headlines and stuff,
but let's dissect that a little bit before you go on. But what do you mean by like all of this is her doing? What do you mean when you say that, bro? Just so I can get some clarity, because I don't understand.
Yeah. Like the thing she say, right? And it's like, okay, like the book you're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. She didn't want the whole wedding. He bought, made her a house and all this. It goes down to, remember I said before, sometimes someone in a relationship will love the person so much that it is, somebody's going to love the person more than the other. And I think this relationship, marriage, Will Smith's love Jada more. I could be wrong. I'm not saying this for fact. I could be wrong. But based off what you just said, and the thing she's been saying, I really feel like the reason why they lasted this long is because Will Smith don't want to give up. I really feel like we've heard stories about, men and women, whatever.
I was one of them. I was one of them because relationships, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but again, this is like a great conversation. There's a lot of substance and people need to hear this shit. Relationships, some of them have an expiration date. This is a fact. Even friendships, relationships in general, whether it's again one of your guy friends, your female friends, your girlfriends, your wives, some of them have expiration dates. And the thing is, when you're in them past the expiration date is when things start to happen. Like my ex, one of them, I was with her way past the expiration date. You know what I'm saying? There was a point, and I can vividly remember this shit, where the relationship expired, right? Like it's like food. You have fruits, they expire, or certain foods. And I kept reheating expired food because I didn't want to let it go. And it didn't taste good. You get the pun. You get the metaphor. You get what I'm saying? Like, and with Will and Jada, maybe there was an expiration date. I can't say. You know what I'm saying? But they figured out a way for the relationship to still work for all parties involved. But continue.
Yeah. I mean, here's how I feel. Like I said, I could be wrong. I feel like though, like we've heard stories, and we can go the history of time, and whether it's court cases, or whatever, of couples who someone will love the other person so much that they will never give up, right? That's why we hear about these stories of people murdering their wife and their husband, because divorce is not an option for them. They love this person so much they will kill them before they divorce them, right? And that's a little extreme. But I feel like Will Smith loved Jada enough that he's willing to withstand all the entanglements and all the stuff that she say because he loves this woman. And I think, again, her comment, I was shocked that he called me his wife. Like, I mean, you're not his ex. You're still married to the man. I mean, what do you mean you're shocked that he called you his wife? He loves you, damn it. You're still married to the man. What you mean you're shocked by it? That? Like when she says stuff like that, it's like, come on. You may not try to intend on hurting this man or making the public feel like you're targeting him, but when you say stuff like that, it turns people the wrong way. And I think that's what Jada, maybe I don't think she cares or whatever, but I think that's what she's missing. It's the things that she say that comes across the wrong way. It's not like Will Smith came out and said, yeah, she's not my wife. Yeah, we separated. or he said anything remotely to that effect. She's the one who's volunteering all this information, and I think when you have two parties who are in a committed marriage, or in her terms, they're separated. But when you have one person who is keeping their lips tight, and the other person who, any chance they got, whether it's the red table talk or a sit down interview or whatever, they spewing all the public details that should be private, you make yourself the target. And I think, like, the things that she say, why he calling me his wife at the Oscars? Oh, Tupac is my soulmate. Yo, come on, man. It just, it comes all across the wrong way, and it comes across as scummy to a lot of people, because I'm sure there's been a lot of people who's been in that situation, right? You love this person, you do anything. I haven't been to that point yet, but
Right.
you might love this person. You buy them whatever they need. You take care of the house. You build them a house, and then next thing you know, she talking about another man in the interview. Come on, bro. Again, I like Tupac. I'm not saying he's a bad person, she's a bad person, but again, you married to Will Smith and you talking about Tupac 25 years later? Why are you still married to the man? Come on, bro. It just, that's the thing that gets me. And I'm not even frustrated. It's just more so like, are you really shocked by the backlash that you're getting from people? Because for me, it just seems like
It's because I don't think she's shocked, but I think people don't know. It's like unless you're 100% in that situation, you don't know what's going on. So it's like you can't speak on something that you don't even know. It's almost one of those things where she's got her side and then Will Smith has his side, and then there's actually what happened. We don't know what happened 100% between them. Because again, like me, like if I could, I would be just like Will Smith. I would. You know what I'm saying? Like I aspire to him, right? But I'm pretty sure Will Smith is not without his character flaws too. I'm
oh,
pretty
I'm
sure he
sure.
made some mistakes in that relationship that might have hurt her feelings or changed her perception on their marriage. Shit. My first ex, shit, we were together for like 6.5 freaking years. I did things to her that changed her perception on me and our relationship. So, because shit, that motherfucker, it felt like a goddamn divorce. When we when we stopped fucking, when we broke up and shit like that, it felt like a goddamn divorce for a very fucking long time. So I know
No,
that if, let's say, if we're both public figures and then like I was portrayed as, the good guy and all that shit, well, and I'm talking about my ex, she would have her reasons, for separating herself from me. She would have her reasons for that shit. So
no.
Jada has her reasons and Will had his.
But you're not wrong. I'm not saying both parties are. I'm not saying she's more guilty than he is. I'm sure there's a lot more stuff we don't know about, right? But the stuff we can see just right now, based off what I'm hearing and seeing and watching, again from the why you call me your wife? Oh, the guy he slapped on stage. He tried to hit on me, asked me out for dinner a couple years ago while we were separated. Oh yeah, by the way, we've been separated for 7 years. Oh, Tupac's my soulmate. Come on, like, and this is all in a matter of not even a week, not even a week. And I think that's the thing that's getting people. It's like, yo, you really out here like trying to embarrass it, and I think it goes back to the Oscar slap too, because she didn't even defend him then either. She kind of just went back to her red table talk, and I think she addressed a little bit of it, but skipped past it. Like, it just seemed to me like if the roles were reversed and Jada did something like that, Will Smith will always. I would think Will Smith will risk his career to save and protect his wife, because
He
she
should,
is his
because
wife.
that she's the mother of his kids. He's supposed to
And
be the protector. That's
nah,
that's his job. That to me that's his job. Again, like it just boils down to people cannot relate to having that type of love for someone else, because the average person, like I always say, is self-interested. People will be in whole relationships, people will be in whole marriages and only care about themselves. They only care about themselves. That's why you see people with multiple kids, and then the minute they can't, get their problems all resolved, they get a fucking divorce. And then they're running for the fucking hills, and they're like, I don't give a damn about how it affects the kids or how it affects the other person, because all I care about is me. This woman cared enough to be there, raise her two superstar freaking kids and shit like that. freaking be a second mother to his first son, Trey, to get along with Will Smith's first wife, Cherie. This is what I'm saying. Like, most people can't relate. That's why they look at Will and Jada like they got 10 heads when everybody should be trying to be like them. The moral of the story is to take the good and the fucking bad and then just see how you could apply it to your own relationship. I said that yesterday. People should be learning from this shit instead of being so critical and looking to criticize. See what you can learn from it, because there's so much that we can learn. We as Black people can learn from Will and Jada. But that is a fact. This is a learning opportunity for people, because again, I want to be just like Will Smith. So I want to be that type of dad. I want to be that type of husband, even if shit don't work out, even if we're separated. Because you see, he was on good terms with his first wife. He's on good terms with his second wife. I want to be just like that and still maintain a good image and success and all that shit. Both of my kids are super intelligent superstars and all of that. Great. I've done my job. This is exactly why Will Smith doesn't have anything to prove to anyone. And this is why Jada is speaking out now, because the majority of her career was supporting Will. When did we ever really see Jada Pinkett Smith out here talking like that? As soon as they separated, because her whole life was to be a good wife. Yeah, she might have did The Matrix and maybe a couple of movies, here and there, but generally she was a good wife. Good wives are in support of their husbands, his success, and all that shit. What'd you say?
Not talking about Tupac to the kids.
I'm just
playing.
Honestly, that joke went over my head. But you get what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
She was a good wife. She was a good wife, which is more than what I could say for a lot of women out here. Which is, Will Smith was a great husband, which is more than I could say for all the other husbands out here and shit. All you got to do is go on, go on World Star. Look on the news and shit like that. Look at your own families, people that you know, and see how they conduct themselves. They don't conduct themselves half as well as Will and Jada do, but yet we're laughing at them. They should be laughing at us. Because if I was Will, I would have been like, you motherfuckers are talking all this trash about my wife. Look at your relationships. Do you have a healthy 20+ year marriage to speak of? No, you don't. How well are your kids doing in life? Exactly. Are your kids millionaires? No, they're not. No, they're not. Do you get along with your first wife? No, you don't. No, you don't. So who should really be laughing here? The successful ones or the peasants? Exactly. I want to be just like them, and I will not get there by laughing at them.
But let me just say this, because I 100% agree with you, right? But it goes back to what I said before. When you're a public figure and you air your own dirty laundry, well, I'm not saying dirty laundry, but when you put your own, for instance, I think about LeBron and his wife Savannah, right? Savannah, she's a supportive wife, right? She's always at the bench. She's always supporting LeBron. You don't see her going on media blogs and talking about their marriage. You don't
because Savannah James is not a public figure just because she's married just because Jada Pinkett Smith is a public figure because she had a career before, during, and after Will Smith. What does Savannah James do for a living? Can you answer that question?
I'm not sure. Hold on, real quick. Because you have a good point. But again, besides the movies she did 20 years ago, she's still acting. I've seen some of her stuff, but she's not doing what she used to. She's not.
Because you know why? Because she was too busy being a mother to her kids and being a good wife. Frankly, it sounds all good and dandy and stuff like that, but I don't want some super career-oriented career woman as my fucking wife. No, I want a wife that is going to support me. Yeah, sure, she can have her career, but if I'm the one that's making, most of the money and I can sustain us by my own income completely, then you're going to have to take a back seat and support me and the kids. That is a fact. No. And then when they move, when they're gone, okay, fine. Which is pretty much what happened, because I think by 2016, none of their kids were at home anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because they were out on their own, as far as I know. You know what I'm saying? Or as far as it looks with, Jaden and Willow and shit. They were by them. Shit, they had enough money to be on their own at that point, because, Jaden's, successful rapper, or relatively successful. People love his music and shit. Right. Willow, same thing. They go on tour, all of that. So they're not even home. So if they're not even home, if she doesn't have a reason to be there anymore, and Will is not even home, and then they're already having all these problems all together, then yeah, so she left. And but
I
she
want to
left,
ask
and
you,
but she's still there. She's still around. That's what I'm saying. She still be at the house because that's where they shoot all the red table talks.
and I want to ask you about that, right? Just one thing before I ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I disagree with what you said earlier was Will Smith is a husband and a father, so he's supposed to be the protector. But I will also say, Jada is a wife and a mother, so she should protect the father of the children too.
Which she
And I
has,
think that's
which she has.
eh,
Remember what I said earlier? I said we didn't know about any of these things happening until okay, they separated in 2016, right? We didn't even know, we didn't even hear about the August Alsina thing 4 years later. That's when all of that came out. That's when they finally talked about the shit. It's not like in 2016 is when we heard about entanglements and all of that. We didn't hear about that until 2020. And I remember I said that in the podcast episode. I said we're just now hearing about the shit, but that happened years ago. So you see what I'm saying? So she was still holding it down until she
oh,
decided to talk about it during the red table talk. So she was the one that talked about it. They discussed it. He agreed. He agreed to do the episode. They knew it. So it's not like these are things that will like she's doing it without his consent. They talked about the shit. They're separated. But as long as they were together, she was holding it down.
yeah, I respect her. I like I said,
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate her. I'm always doing is talking about the subject at hand. I would like to meet her, and maybe even work, but I have
Nah,
no
no one. Nah, I
ill
don't think
towards her, right?
anyone, me nor anyone listening to this, thinks you hate Jada Pinkett Smith. You're just critical. You're critical, and
Yeah,
again, you're entitled. You're entitled to your opinion. You know what I'm saying? As long as it's within reason. Which again, it's
right,
been which it's been. Oh, I hate this movie. It's been within reason this whole entire time.
right. And but this goes back to this is one of the things we talk about, and something I always talk about. Whether we're doing a quick take on my podcast, there's certain things that there's a reason why I don't put my personal life on Instagram, on social media, right? You don't really hear me bring up Natalie's name and stuff because I don't want people knowing anything. I don't want people assuming, asking questions. Now, when you have someone like Jada, who's yeah, they separate, and she has every right to talk about her personal experiences and her marriage. That is her choice. But when you're a public figure, when you're a successful actor, whatever you say, whatever people see you do, will be held. What does they say in the court of law? Whatever you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. Same thing with the public. And I don't care how much I love Will Smith, Denzel Washington. If Denzel said, "Oh, my ex-wife is a scum," people are gonna use that. And I think Jada just has to realize that when she says stuff, even if she's speaking, trying to be respectful about it, people are gonna look at it like, "Yo, she's dogging Will Smith," even if that's not her intention. It just comes across like that. But I want to ask
Mm-hmm.
you a question. So she goes on to say, because she did an interview, I think part of this discussion, the interviewer asked, she said, you've been y'all doing these public appearances, looking, acting like a happy family, happy couple, but y'all been separated for 7 years. Why not get divorced? And like I said, she went out and said, "Hey, we're trying to, be a good partnership. Make sure we're there for
Mm-hmm.
our kids and have
Mm-hmm.
that space." And I commend them for that.
Right.
Do you think, and you mentioned the red table talk being shot at the house too,
Mm-hmm.
and this is not really just so much about them, but I hear this rhetoric all the time. I don't believe in divorce. I don't see divorce as an option. Do you agree with that?
What? That divorce is off the table?
Yeah, because she said divorce is not something that she's considering.
All right.
But a lot of people say that divorce is not a option. I don't believe in divorce. I would never.
Right.
Do you
Right.
believe in that?
Right. All right, because to me it applies because again, I've never been married. I think in relationships, breaking up is not the first option. Okay, when you hear people like Jada Pinkett Smith saying that divorce is not an option, is because they got kids. They have built
Mm-mm.
a life together. You gotta understand. when they first got married, that was very early in Will Smith's career. Yeah, he was already a star in Independence Day, but she was in his life from pretty much the very beginning. The very beginning, she was there. And all of this time, their lives are kind of intertwined. When you think of Will, you think of Jada. When you think of Jada, you think of Will. You know what I'm saying? So I understand why they're like, we're not even going to consider divorce because we know how much harm that's going to do on both ends. It's not like you just get a divorce and then, you know, it's all hunky dory. No, they don't want to go through that process because the whole getting a divorce is hard. Like, especially for, you know, people like them. And I know somebody like Will, you got to understand his upbringing wasn't the best. And this is a guy that really tried hard to create the life that he would have felt safe in when he was a kid. His father put hands on his mother. His dad wasn't the nicest guy. And he tried to be, he didn't try, he was the polar opposite of that. He created a life around his kids where they felt safe. They didn't have to worry about that type of shit. He didn't make his father's mistakes as far as I can see. You know what I'm saying? And I know for him, a divorce would probably feel like a failure. Like, I failed. And she probably knows he feels like that. I don't think she wants to do that to him. I don't think she wants to do that to herself because that will be very, very hard. You see, when you love somebody, it's not easy to, and I know separating for them wasn't easy. I know it wasn't easy. I know it was not easy. Breaking up, shit, if you really cared about that person, that's not the first option on the table. Breaking up with somebody is not easy. And shit, if it is, you probably weren't really feeling them to begin with to be able to walk away, move on, and then finally let go. Shit, like, I've broken up. It wasn't easy. Shit, that's why I said it felt like a divorce because I was with her for freaking 6.5 years. Nigga, that shit wasn't easy. It took me 2 years to let go. Like, oh, all right, cool. So she's really not coming back. Like, we're never going to be together. See, we broke up. And then I had a hard time moving on. Like I said, I talked to you about her like a fucking billion times. And so like that, so you know what I'm talking about. Right? And then again, eventually I had to get through, you know, the go through the motions of moving on and then letting go. Shit, Bobby Brown, he was married to Whitney Houston for a long time. He even said in his A&E documentary that he thought that they were going to get back together at some point. He literally thought that after they got a divorce. He was like, yo, I thought we were going to get back together when he was talking about Whitney Houston's passing and all that shit. And he felt like, yo, if I was still in her life, she would probably still be here. So that's why people are not always comfortable with removing what was the foundation of their life. Will and Jada, they built a life together. So to just all of a sudden remove that, it doesn't matter how rich you are. That's what sometimes people say, and it's true, that money does not guarantee happiness. Your happiness comes from things that actually have substance, things that actually last. To say that something lasted for 20, 25 years, that shit has staying power. Money doesn't always have that. Money, you know what I'm saying? Money is like an energy. It comes and it goes. So I would like to have that mentality. All right, so let's say if I did get married, which again, I'm very leery about marriage any fucking way. You know what I'm saying? But if I did get married, that would be the option for me. First of all, I would not be marrying a woman that I don't see me spending the rest of my life with. I don't date girls that I don't see long-term potential in. That's one. So people wonder why like I don't date all the time because I don't date girls that I can't see myself being with her 5 years down the line. I'm like, well, okay, if she's pretty today, do I think she's going to be pretty 10 years from now? Or what is she going to look like when she's 30? If I think she's going to be pretty at 30 years old, then okay, I think I'm pretty good from there. Okay? But if I am in that situation, it's not on the table. And I have to be with a woman that has that same mentality. See, she had the same type of mentality as Will, where she knew how important getting married was. He knew how important it was. That's why it lasted that long, because it was never on the table. They're not the only ones. Omar Epps from Juice, Love and Basketball. He said the same thing. He said, yo, divorce is not on the table. him and his wife, they probably have their problems here and there. When you approach problems without divorce or breaking up without being in the equation, then you have a much more productive like problem solving process. You're able to deal with things a bit easier without, the button of saying, fuck it, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? Relationships that you get into with your girl, and then the first thing that she does is just be like, oh, I'm done with you. Bruh, like, shit, let her go. Because that's not a real one. Girls that really love you, and I said this in one of my rants, and I like that I said it. I said, girls, men, we need to find women that they don't want to break up with you. And I'm quoting myself. I said, you know why? Because then they know that life is going to be different for them. You see what I'm saying? They're separated because they don't live together anymore, but I'm pretty sure they talk very often. She's there. You see what I'm saying? Their business is still intertwined. You see what I'm saying? So she's just, separated. They just live separately. And she's able to do certain things and he's able to do certain things, but they're still in each other's lives. She knows the finality that comes with divorce because now he's not really in your life anymore. And as much as she may love Tupac, I know for a fact that her love for Will is just as deep, if not deeper, because if it wasn't, she would have divorced him. She would have been like, oh, you know what I'm saying? And then I'll put my foot in my mouth if next year we see Jada Pinkett Smith files for divorce, which I don't think is going to happen. But if it does, then, hey, you know what I'm saying? That's what she felt. That's what she feels. Or if that's what she feels she needs to do for herself, by all means, go ahead and do it. By all means. Or if I was Will, if that's what you need to do, fine. I still love you anyway because you're the mother of my kids. We had a great marriage together. Yeah, we had our problems and stuff like that, but I still have love for you. And it takes a certain type of person, a mature person, to be able to say that. You see, I wasn't always able to be like that, where like, my ex can call me sometimes and then I didn't get all of my feelings still. You see what I'm saying? Like she called me, now she could probably call me and we could just have a conversation like I do with my other female friend, like, hey, what's up? And I could tell her about girls that I dated and shit like that. And then she could tell me about, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause I used to try to do that anyway. She'd call me and be like, yo, like, I'd be like, it's like talking to your ex-wife and shit like that, and then she would think, this shit is funny, but you have to look at it that way, that even if things, don't end well, you should still be on good terms. You know what I'm saying? Because then your life is that much more like lighthearted. I don't want to walk around, carrying mad baggage and shit like that. So again, we should want to be like them.
Yeah, I get what you mean by that. Me personally, I never liked that. I don't believe in divorce or divorce not option because I feel like that's a very old school mentality. And I remember I had a conversation with my mom about that 2 years ago. Where she grew up that way. Divorce not an option, but then she was like, I need to think about myself and my children because this marriage isn't helping me. It's not serving me any purpose. And I think a lot of people who say, yeah, we might have those success stories that say I don't believe in divorce, but a lot of times that stuff turns out to be very toxic. How many people we know, well, I wouldn't say we know, but how many people have grown up in these toxic, I don't believe in divorce marriages, because people don't want to put in the effort to, leave because they're comfortable in their situation. Now, I'm not saying that's what Jada and Will are, because, they children are grown, they're out the house. So it's not like they're going to, hurt their children. But for me personally, I just don't. If you mad about the man who loves you calling you his wife, might as well just get a divorce at the point. Because what's the purpose? I get the purpose of wanting to stay, especially like you said, when you got businesses and all that stuff intertwined many years down the belt. But it reminds me of something that I read about last year. I remember there was an old guy. He was like, what, 95 years old from the UK, and he divorced his wife over they was together, what, 65 years, 70 years. He divorced the woman. And people were like, why even get divorced? You're 95. But the point for him was, hey, if I'm trying to live the rest of my life as long as I can, and if that means that I can do it by myself or find somebody else that'll do it for me
At
even
90
at
fucking
95
5 years
years
old.
old. Hey man,
You can't even walk down the street talking about finding somebody. Who you gonna find in the senior citizen home? Come on, man.
Hey, you'd be surprised, man. Look
Yeah,
at you
that, I
having.
mean that. Yeah, that was a bad example because
It was a bad example.
the motherfucker's 90 fucking 5 years old. So you're not busting down nothing. Okay, you
Trust
can't
me.
walk anywhere. All right, you're relative. Most 95 freaking year olds are relatively immobile, and they, yeah, like come
But
on. I
trust
guess
me.
I can understand if you said this person is in his 70s because Samuel Jackson is like 71. Okay. And then look at him. He looks like he's 50 freaking one. So, 70-year-olds, are a lot different than they were, way back in the day.
But I will say, I worked at a senior citizen facility. A lot of them are 80 plus, and trust me, 95 ain't stopping some of them. So I mean, yeah, it's a bad example per se, but it goes back to the point of happiness, right? And I think marriages, we've done a quick podcast on mine, and we've done quick takes on yours about why the divorce rates are so high nowadays. But one of the things is a lot of people realizing, yo, what's the point of staying in a marriage when I'm not happy? You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, yeah, you have many years. Even if you're not married, I know a personal experience. One I'm close to. They was with someone for 30 years. They never married, but they consider themselves a married couple. And what happened? They decided, nah, I need to find something, for my own happiness. And we're not talking about spring chickens. We're not talking about a bunch of 20 something. You're talking about grown people with mortgages and responsibilities and stuff intertwined. But they was like, yeah, it's toxic. It's not worth it. I want to find somebody who's gonna make me happy and someone that you can find to make you happy. And I think I just hate hearing I don't believe in divorce because I mean, a lot of times it's toxic. Yeah,
Well,
there
why?
might
But
be.
that's exactly why I don't really believe in marriage to begin with, because I just feel like, hey, if you are not happy anymore for some whatever reason, and she don't want to be with me, she should be able to just get up and go if that's what she needs to do. I don't feel that legalizing my or consummating my marriage legally before the eyes of the government is necessary because, again, things change, people change, and any girl that I'm going to be with doesn't. That's what I'm saying. That's what I said about Jada earlier. She wasn't really into the whole flashy, the flash and dash, of marriage. She wasn't interested in that. And any girl that I want to be with, she shouldn't really care about that either. And women that do, they don't care about it because they really care about it. They were raised to care about it. They were told this is the right thing. So when they live 20 plus years of their life knowing that this was the right thing, you can't come and approach them as a man and tell them that's not right. They're not going to want to listen to you. So me, I don't agree getting married anyway. If we have a relationship, we can have a great relationship without actually having to, consummate that shit. And then, if she's unhappy or if I feel like I'm unhappy, we could be able to just part ways very easily without having to go through, again, the hassles of divorce, because divorce is not even free. You got to pay for that.
No, yeah, and it's not free. But you know what? It's one of those things because realistically, there's going to be more people watching, or just in general, who want to get married more than the people like us who are like, I don't need to get married. I know a lot of people I graduated with 5 years ago. A lot of them are married now with kids, and we're talking about people in their 20s. So I think it's ultimately up to you. I just feel like anybody. The reason why I always hated the term I don't believe in divorce because it usually comes from people that shouldn't be married. They need to call it a quit because the damage in the household, the kids are screwed up because mom and dad is always arguing and yelling. And I know people in my personal life who are still married and they're very toxic together, beating each other up, cursing, screaming,
Well, those
kids
people,
running outside.
those people are idiots, and they weren't ready for a relationship to begin with. If they're willing to, resolve, the physical, abuse and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? But that's
Oh yeah,
where, somebody like Omar Epps or somebody like that, comes in on this conversation, because generally we can't really speak on that, mentality, because we're not in that situation. You don't know how marriage is going to make you feel. You might be with somebody that you really care about, you really love, and then therefore marriage will not be on the table because you're like, yo, I don't want this to go. And I feel like whatever problems we have, or we end up facing, what we have is enough to hurdle it. That's where those people are coming from. So it's not just people just don't want to get married because, you know, they're too lazy. They don't want to do it because what they have is worth keeping. And most people don't have that. I don't hear that a lot. I don't hear that. What's funny, I'm the opposite. I actually hear that. I've heard that more from people who do have stable, you know, relationships. I think Morris Chestnut said the same thing because he's been married to his wife since the freaking 90s and all that shit. People were surprised because, you know, he's like this black sex symbol, all of that shit. He's like, one, I've been 100% faithful to my wife. We've been married since the 90s. And, you know, divorce is not on the table for us. So the men that I've heard say that shit, again, like they have healthy marriages to show for it. So it's not just talk. And people like that are the ones that found real ones. These are not guys that found like these fugazi, you know, chicks that only wanted to be, you know, with you just for the romance, the glitz and glam. But then the minute you guys go through one rough patch, it's over. That's most women. That is most women today. You know what I'm saying? It's not like society now is not comprised of women that love that love what marriage might mean or you know are really interested in the good, the bad, and the ugly of relationships or of love. They no girls. That's why I kept saying in my video, and I said it this time. People think that marriage is supposed to be easy. It's not. It is not. Anyone that will have you think that marriage is easy, it is not. I think that the person that you choose to be with, you should be dealing. There should be like relative ease in dealing with them. Like it should be a good fit. You should get along with them, and that's why I think that Will and Jada, they got along. You know, despite some, you know, differences that they had, which are probably fundamental differences, but they still were able to get along and make adjustments to those differences. The average person, they don't even get along with the person that they with. They're just physically attracted to them. They probably have some common interest, and then that's pretty much it. So that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta really understand, like what goes into people saying that. You know what I'm saying? Because I could see myself saying that at some point if I find something worth having. You know what I'm saying? And I know now where, you know, which relationship has an expiration date and when it doesn't. And I know when that, you know, expiration date is. You know what I'm saying? When it's past, you know, it's use, you know, for me and for her. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, on that note, please be sure, as always, to like, comment, subscribe. I hope you made it to the end of this video, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.
All right, Tupac. I'm just kidding.